Okay, I promised I would go out there and make a proper video about this. And I know in yesterday's vlog in the car, I was like, yeah, the Red Wings, good win, Yzerman dub, and even in the title of this video I said Yzerman dub. But it occurred to me right after I published that video, and while I was on the car trip home, that not only do I have a good chunk of fans on this YouTube channel who are Red Wings fans, but we do have a very good amount of Sens fans that tune into the content as well. And for me to just sit there in the back seat and make a video talking about how, oh, Yzerman got DeBrincat and they signed him, amazing, fun, fantastic deal, that's the video. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to a good chunk of the people who do watch these videos. And I know I said in the video yesterday that it was going to be a bad video because I kind of just saw the trade pop up after getting Wi-Fi for the first time in hours and decided to record a vlog in the car. So now I'm back home here in Vancouver and I had some time to sit down, think about the trade a little bit, think about the extension, and just go over each of the assets. That's what I wanted to do in this video. Let's talk about the assets because sure, the Red Wings got one asset, but the Sens, they got themselves quite a few. And summing it all up in one sentence or two, I don't really think is really worth any Sens fans' time. So, yesterday we had ourselves the news that Alex DeBrincat got traded over to the Red Wings for a big package. Now, the package is not as big as the package the Sens traded away to get DeBrincat last year, but it still was a package nonetheless. Within this package, you have yourselves 2 draft picks, a first and a fourth from the Detroit Red Wings. There is a condition on the first, that in which is written about right here on Cap Friendly. Detroit has the option to send their own or Boston's 2024 first-round pick. In the event that the Bruins' first-round pick selection is a top 10 pick, Boston can retain the pick and transfer their 2025 first to Detroit instead. Detroit will then have the option of sending Boston's 2025 unprotected first or their own 2024 first to Ottawa. So that's a lot of writing. Essentially, it's Boston's or Detroit's first, depending on if it's 2024 or 2025. It's all up in the air at the moment. But you had yourselves that first and the fourth, as well as Dominik Kubalik and Donovan Sebrango going back the other way. Now, this is why I wanted to make this video, because for the Sens fans out there, we didn't really get into a conversation about any of these guys, other than summing them all up in a sentence or two. Dominik Kubalik is a player whom I really like a lot. He's 27 years old, signed to the end of 2024, making $2.5 million a year. And last season, he had 45 points in 81 games played. Sure, it's not the 30 goals and 46 points he had in 68 games in his rookie season, that in which was good enough to net him a finalist spot for the Calder that year. But Dominik Kubalik is a player who can get you maybe 40 to 50 points every season at $2.5 million a year. That's a really good dollar amount, I feel. And the Red Wings are definitely losing out on one of the more versatile forwards that they had throughout the past year. So for Ottawa, it's not like you're completely losing out on any offensive talent in this trade. You're getting a guy who is pretty legit when it comes to being a middle to top 6 scoring winger. Kubalik is a player I like a lot, and when it comes to his future with the Sens, if he gets more of an opportunity, we'll see whether or not he's able to expand more so on the point production that he has so eloquently displayed the past few years. Sure, a lot of that does depend on opportunity, on line mates, etc., but if you find this guy the right fit, you give him a center that's able to give him the puck and he's able to do what it is that he wants to do with it, then Kubalik really does have a good ceiling. And since he is 27 years old, he only made his NHL debut just a few years ago in 2019-20, I definitely don't think that he's maxed out at his absolute pinnacle peak just yet. If he had like a 55 to 60 point season, I wouldn't really be surprised. It's just whether or not the Sens have it in them to unlock that. That's all that really matters at this point. You also have yourselves prospect Donovan Sebrango heading over the other way. Now, we made a few videos talking about Sebrango the past few years. We had talked about when he was initially drafted by the Wings back in the, when was he drafted? 3rd round of the 2020 NHL Draft. So that was the bubble draft, I'm pretty sure. Not the bubble draft, the online draft, the first one of the online drafts. And he was initially a left-handed defenseman out of the OHL, who's a really interesting mix of physical tools as well as some point production here and there. Now, he's been playing with the Grand Rapids Griffins the past few seasons, and he maxed out at 7 points in 39 games played last year. He also had 12 points in 23 games with the Toledo Walleye in the ECHL. So when it comes to Sebrango and his development, I'm not going to go out there and say that he is a guaranteed NHL top 4 defenseman in the future, but for a guy who had worked his way from the OHL to the AHL down to the ECHL and hopefully back to the AHL, you're definitely looking for a longer-term prospect and development path with Sebrango. He can spin off pressure, he can work his inside edges on the blue line, and generally shows as nimble in small ice situations. He's not afraid to use the center of the ice to effectively transition up ice. Sebrango was decisive, took the right angles, and won puck battles on defensive zone retrievals, according to the Elite Prospects 2020 Draft Guide. So the Sens are getting some value out of this trade for sure. But most of that value comes in the form of Kubalik, as well as that to-be-determined first, whether it's Detroit's 2024 first or one of the Boston firsts to be. Either way, though, Donovan Sebrango in the fourth, these are extra things to throw into that to sweeten the deal up a little bit for Pierre Dorion. While I will say that the deal doesn't really boast the same type of value that Alex DeBrincat is worth, the fact that the Sens were handcuffed, they had no real options here and no real opportunities to trade him elsewhere, this was the best that they could do, and they ended up getting some value in return. Like, Dominik Kubalik, I definitely do like a lot more than other people seem to like based off of the reaction that I'm seeing to this trade. And I just hope he's going to go out there and showcase himself off in the best way possible on an Ottawa Senators team that has a lot more to prove. As for Alex DeBrincat heading over to Detroit, we had talked about this in the video yesterday, but it's kind of mind-blowing how Yzerman, we learned the entire time that Yzerman did not want to give out an 8-year deal. And we were like, okay, well, if he's not going to give an 8-year deal, this trade might not work because DeBrincat's been wanting an 8-year deal this entire time. He rejected 8x8 from Ottawa. And then Yzerman goes out there and signs him to a 4-year, $7.875 million AAV contract extension. He gets DeBrincat under 8, and he gets him at 4 years. Now, sure, there's a little bit of betting on himself going on here. DeBrincat is 25, so when this contract is over, he'll be 29 years old. Who knows how good he's going to be at that point in time. This is kind of why he wanted the 8-year extension, because he could guarantee more money for longer. But DeBrincat, at 25 years old, is arguably going to be at his peak sooner or later, so who knows how good he's going to be in 29, if he's going to be on a decline or somewhere else in that territory. It's going to be interesting to see how this contract ages, but what Steve Yzerman wanted to make sure of was that they're not signing a guy who has two-way defensive issues like DeBrincat, who is a little bit smaller like DeBrincat, to a contract that might age poorly. He was always reticent against going with that 8-year deal, and he gets this contract done on his terms. Under 8 years, under 8 mil. I don't know what kind of hocus-pocus magic spell Steve Yzerman has in his repertoire that allows him to get the contracts that he wants. But Alex DeBrincat, you just succumbed to the Yzer plan, man. We were all talking this entire time, the past few weeks, about Stevie Y. Oh, what's going on? What's the Yzer plan up to nowadays? Why are you making all these signings? Justin Hall, what the hell? But with this signing, oh boy, that's all redeemed now. Alex DeBrincat is on contract for a very good deal if he's able to go out there and produce at the way we know Alex DeBrincat is capable of producing. If he has a 40-goal, let's say 80-point season with the Wings alongside a Larkin and Raymond, then all of a sudden 7.875 looks like an absolute steal of a contract, especially for a guy who is as young at 25 years old as DeBrincat is. So for Steve Yzerman, you took advantage of a situation where your guy only wanted to go to your team. DeBrincat getting traded over to Detroit was not a surprise, but the return, the extension, I'd say that was a little bit more so of a surprise. Because the Red Wings, they gave up some value here. They're definitely not losing out on nothing by losing the first and Kubalik. But being able to get DeBrincat back in return with this dollar amount, that's a dub right there. And for Pierre Dorion and the Sens, you had no choice. There's nothing really you could have done else in this situation, so just getting what you could, getting the prospect, getting Kubalik, that's all right. And I think because a lot of y'all expected DeBrincat to be sort of lowballed in the trade market this entire time, I feel like y'all should be okay with this. Like, not ecstatic over the moon, yay, we got Kubalik, but just, okay, we got it done, the trades happened, we don't have to deal with this anymore, we got prospects, we got picks, it's all good, and we can move on. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your opinions about Kubalik, Sebrango, the 2 picks, DeBrincat, the extension, the Red Wings, the Sens, all of that and everything in between? What are your opinions on how everything transpired? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.